Welcome to Yeshiva Daf Shir sponsor Lui Nishma Sam Yakashol Navas Yitzchok. We're holding in Metzia Daf Ayin Dalet. Starting in the Ayin Dalet Daf on top, the Gemara says, Omar Rova. This really concludes the cases that we had in the previous Daf. The Gemara in the last Daf brought several different cases that we discussed on Shabbos. That each one has a discussion: is it ribbis, not ribbis? The Gemara now ends with two small things. So one goes and takes he takes money from three different people, and the point is to buy something for the three people. And he went and he bought it for one of them. He bought it for all. He buys for one, he buys for all. If all three gave him the money, he buys for all. We didn't see a not each one has his own bundle, his own bag. Each one is on his own. Whoever he bought it for, whoever didn't buy it, didn't buy it for. We have over here Machlekes, the Rambam and the Ramban, how exactly to understand the sugya. What exactly is the case? The question is, do we say that if they're together, they're partners, so it's one big partnership, or they're not partners, but the fact that he's responsible to take it from others, if they're not bundled each one in his own bag, so the pshat is that they send him not as partners, but they said, why the money that you're buying is his money, maybe it's my money. So the fact that the money is combined together makes that into one that he's responsible for all. If not, not. Hi situnto kanya. A situnto is coin. What's a situnto? So Rashi says a situnto is that there is an agreement of how to buy something. Rashi says, for example, it's like a stamp they put in the barrels. And when they put a stamp, that means this is for this guy. It's like an agreement. If I put the stamp, it's mine. So it is correct. What is the definition of this kinyan? It's not kinyan. There was no Maisa kinyan. But it is to be chayav and mishapar. You know, a person changes his mind. Mishapar, as we learned earlier. The one says this type of stamp is mishapar. But in a place where the meaning is to use it, with a kinyan it works. And this is the big yesod called situnto. Situnto means something that's the normal way of doing business. For this, this goes into many of the poskim speak about cases we have today. For example, if two people make a deal, and they get up and say, Mazel bracha, right? Especially this Friday. Mazel bracha. Mazel bracha means this is a deal. Is that good enough to do a kinyan? Because when they shake hands, for example, this is in business. You make a deal, you shake hands. Is the shaking hands a kinyan? Because that's a situnto. That's an agreement. This is a done deal. Many of the place can speak of a different case. For example, in today's business, an invoice, an accepted invoice. One sends an invoice to somebody else, the guy accepts it. Is that considered to be a kinyan? Because he took an invoice. Or, the poskim, this goes into all many different halachas. What is considered to be the normal standard practice in the shuk? Has to do withstituto, has to do with invoices, has to do with mazel bracha, has to do with different practices in business that is nagia, and then it leads into do we do it by karkoris or not, etc. But this is just the concept of kedai to know. Let's continue on just 1 second. Sorry. Says the Gemara now. We're quoting the Mishnah. If he is the one he's starting to harvest, so then we said in the Mishnah that the way it works is you can go and say, I want to have the higher milk. Meaning the guy comes and buys payers, and he says, hey, you know what, give me the higher rate. We said over there, so the part of the Mishnah said that a person can come to somebody who was at the beginning of his process. If he started the process, you could buy it even though lo yotzu ashar. Right? The beginning of the Mishnah says, if you want to buy something based on what's going to be in the future, it needs to be something which is easily available to everybody. You can go out to the market and buy it. But if this person he's buying from already started the process, you can buy it from him, it's already there. So says the Gemara now, if he started the process and there's only 2 more stages left, that's considered to be the process already done, and already it's considered to be so you can buy the item. Even though the item is not fully processed, but there's only 2 more stages to finish it, so it's okay. If it's 3 stages, it's a little too far away from the end. You can't really sell it because it's not completely finished. And it's too early to buy from him. If it's in his hand to do it, you can do even 100. You have no limitations, even if it's 100 more stages to go. If it doesn't depend on the person, it depends on Hashem, it depends on the world, the stages to happen naturally, so then you can't do it, you can't buy it, not considered to be that's readily available. Says the Mishnah, you're poising on a godish, that's our Mishnah says, you have a pile of grain. He still needs to dry, he has to put it in the sun. The Gemara now is going to speak about the different stages that we have in many of the melachas the Mishnah mentions. So in the case of a godish, you have grain in a pile. What do? You have to put it on the sun. Lemibash, to dry. Ulemeidash, and you have to thresh it. Ulemidra, and it's called winning, right? Winding. You have to put it in the air, to throw it in the air. So there's 3 stages. You just said for 3 stages you can't do it. So then okay, going to show the becham. It's already it's already put in the sun to be dried. So the stage 1 is already done. You have only 2 stages left. According to Shmuel, it says has to be the shamayim. When you do the winning, you have to put it in the air. You have to wait for a good wind. You wait for the shamayim. So you can use sifters. You can use. You don't have to use specifically the air. You can use some handmade fans to do it, and therefore it's not considered to be b'dei shamayim. Mishnah said in other cases, you have a grapes, and he wants to make wine out of it, and that's considered to be something you could sell, it's considered to be already done. You have to do michmar. Michmar is the process of letting it heat up. And then bring it into it's the winery. And then according to the Bach, it's another stage. And then you have to press it. And then you have to draw the wine from when you put the wine into the winery. They used to have 2 pits to draw the wine from pit number 1 to pit number 2. So there's still a lot of pulos to do. Talking about it was already heated up. So stage 1 is already done. Still you have 3 things to do because you have to press it and you have to put it to the winery to press it, and you have to draw it. So it's a place where whoever buys it, he's the one who draws it. When we talk about the pile of grapes as a pile of olives, the word says basically it's very similar discussion. You have to heat it up. You have to bring it into the pressing place for the oil. You have to press it. You have to draw it into the place where it's supposed to go to. Talk about it already was a pile that was heated up. Last still 3 stages. The one who buys it, he's the one who draws it. So there's only 2 stages left for the sun. The pottery, the clay comes as a beitzim, looks like an egg, and then you take that and you process it. So Rashi tells us what we have to do over here. Lefufe is you have to go in. So the beit is when you put the clay with water, and then you have to go and make a shape out of it. You have to dry it. A yula to put it into the oven. The misraf in order for it to burn. Well, the main they have to take it out. So you have many stages to go. We said only when it's close to the end, it's okay. So then we'll keep going. The milafafo. It's already shaped. It's already dry. Still the 3 stages. The one who buys it is the one who takes it out of the oven. Seed is the tar that you put it into fire. I said, well, again, different stages you need to do. If you're still missing what you have to do. So the way it works is you take these rocks and you put it into the fire. So he says, you have to burn it. Therefore, you take it out. And then you have to like grind it in order to create the tar. So the one who buys, Udaik is the one who's gonna grind it. Well, according to Shmuel, that whatever is handmade, man-made, so you can do it. It takes you have as much time as you need. Why you say you have to put it into the fire? He says you're right. You don't have to do it into the fire. When it gets to the process when it's ready to put it in the fire, meaning it was done with the shamayim, whatever is supposed to be done, it's already ready, and now you can put it into the fire. So you don't have to have all the entire process. So similar. So what we said before, I made a mistake. What we said before, as we talked. Metzia, so we mentioned before that we talked about the pottery that you have a piece of clay. You cannot come and make up to buy the beitzim until they're ready to be done, until they're done. When you have the beitzim ready. We know that why not? Because if not, that considered to be readily available, and then you can be poisek on a shar until you can make a rate which may change. It'll be a problem of ribbis. That's only in white sand, which is not so available. When you have black sand, like the place, these locations, where it's all available, you can find it in the street. You can make up a rate. I'll be sharing even though this guy doesn't have, someone else has it because it's readily available. He may put in money once someone already collected the sand. So who's this going on? According to Meir, you need more than that. It has to be done. Like we just said before. Why it has to be done? Because many times we don't do it, even though you have the sand, it may not be produced in the right way. It may get ruined. If it's a black sand, it's always readily available. So we were talking like a basic. It's very hard to get, it's very expensive to buy the sand. If the offer is ready in his hand, so the svichus das, and he gives him the money, and it's a done deal. If that is not so nice. Right? Okay, so in this case, the svichus das, which makes that he can't change his mind, that really defines the fact that it is a naribis because it's going to be already bought, and when you have already the sand, you're not chayshish for the fact that you need to do it, that maybe it's going to get ruined, like Ramir, but you need to have the sand because the sand is not so readily available. Says the Gemara, that the fertilizing equipment and material, which means it's the feces of the animals, you can be poisek in it because it's always available. And the Mishnah said, so we had the way, if you look at the Mishnah again, the Mishnah said, the Tanakama says you can do so whenever you want. It basically says only if you have it in the garbage, if he has it ready. Chachamim say you're allowed to do it. So Chachamim is not Tanakama, says the Gemara. Chachamim and Tanakama both allow to use the feces for fertilizing. Omar says the Gemara, the find down the base, Yimoisek Shomim Ika Benayim. Chachamim Tanakama in Chachamim is what happens in the winter months. Tanakama holds the whole year you could do it, there's no problem. Rabbi says you need to have it by you. Chachamim say that in the summer you can have it. With here, you have a lot of fertilizing material because it already got spoiled. Because the way it works, Rashi explains, when you have the zevel, it takes time for it it has to dry out. In this winter, it's not so dry, so it's not readily available. In the summer, it is readily available. That's the end of the Mishnah. The person can come and make up with the buyer. I won the higher rate. If the rate goes higher, meaning if it gets, so you give me like, if it becomes more expensive, you give me like now. If it doesn't go higher, you give me like later. So the person went and he gave money for the nedunya. What's a nedunya? It's what a husband needs to bring for his wife, his newlywed wife. Now the way it works is he brought the money, but now his shver, his father-in-law, appointed him to go and buy the nedunya. So he said, okay. So he goes to the place. Now here's the money. I want to buy the nedunya for my wife. L'soiv zal nedunya. Now it cheapened, became more cheap, and now right, he made up to buy some jewelry, as Rashi says, and now he doesn't. What you could buy with his money is now what the shver wants. He's not happy about it because it became cheaper. Also, the kamei de'apov. What to do? Only pasati moy kishar gavoya. If you made up with him to do the higher rate, like we said in our Mishnah, shoki kadashto. Then you can go and you go based on today's rate. V'iloi shoki kidmikar. And if not, you go back to the original rate that was in the time of the purchase. Says the Gemara, only Rabban Apopo, v'iloi pasuk. If he didn't make up the money, shoki kidmikar, he's forced to do it. Meaning, if the Gemara understood that he cannot change his mind, not buy the nedunya. He wants to buy the nedunya. But now, he paid, let's say, the jewelry, you pay $100 and you get a 3-carat stone. Making things up. Now, that became cheaper. Now you can get it for $80. So what do you do? So if you meet up with him, if the shard changes, the Mishnah says, I get for more. So now, for $100, give me either more or give me back my money. But if you make up with it, it has to be the original amount. The more understood, he must pay it. Why he must pay it? There was no Mashiach over here, there's no Ma'asakin. Says the Gemara, more says mostly money itself you don't purchase. You're right. We're not talking about kinyan. We're talking about the fact he can't change his mind because he's not keeping his word. Mishapar, someone doesn't keep his word. If he made up like the higher rate, so if he says, listen, I gave you $100 and I could have bought X, now with $100 it could be X plus, give me X plus. And the Moicher says, I'm not giving it to you. So the Moicher is the one who's changing the deal. So the Moicher has to be Mikal Mishapar, has to say, okay, I'll accept Mishapar. Accept Mishapar means accept the klal, the curse of Mishapar that we learned earlier. If he didn't make up the amount, so the buyer is the one who's changing the mind. So the Lekech is the one who accepts Mishapar. Only Rabbi Lapapa remind their abonu to plead galei their Shimon. Da'am mois lekon. Vafilu gachi pasuk kishar gavay shaki kedash tilo pasuk shaki lemikor. So we explain all this according to Rabbanon that both the seller and the buyer can change their mind. It's not a kinyan. It's only a problem in Mishapar. So then the question is, did he make up the higher rate? Did he make up the higher rate as we mentioned until now? Maybe so they want to deal more of Shimoni. Maybe this is shittas of Shimon that we learned earlier. Right? 3 days ago, we learned shittas of Shimon. Shimon holds that when we say the kinyan doesn't work, that is only that the mois don't buy. It's only for the seller. The seller can change his mind, but the buyer cannot change his mind. For the buyer, it's a full kinyan. So maybe this goes like a Shimon. Don't mois koinos. Maybe made up the higher rate, the better rate. So he takes like that because that's what he made up. In the posik shall be karam, he cannot do the deal. After the Rabbanon made posik below posik, doesn't matter if he made up for that. Shogik yashto, he should take like now the insha tarazilo. Because it's not a full kinyan, he can change his mind. So that's part of the deal. Maybe we'll say according to Rabbanon, I can always change my mind. There's Mishapar. Okay, but because I have the ability to change my mind, I want to do the best deal possible to do. So with $100 now, I can buy more jewelry. I don't want to buy all for the value of $80 when I can buy for $100. Says the Gemara, so maybe Rabbanon will be different. Says no. Reb Shimon himself agrees that although we say that a lekeach cannot change his mind once you give your money, it's only if the rate did not change. But if the rate changed, Reb Shimon and Rabbanan are not arguing. They both agree. Well, how do we know that? According to that, Reb Shimon will never have mishapar by lekeach. We learned earlier in the Metzia 30 blot ago. The idea of mishapar. Mishapar means a person purchased something and he gave money, and money is not enough to have the mishicha. So then, if he changes his mind, he's over mishapar. According to Reb Shimon, the buyer, once he gives his money, it's over. So there's no mishapar. It's either a kidney or nothing. So what tell me there's no mishapar by Reb Shimon? That's the case. Time we learn in the Brayso. In all cases. So there is a case that will be mishapar by the buyer. What is it? The Gemara says, even Reb Shimon that says that lekeach cannot change his mind, it's only if the rate did not change. But if the rate changed, even Reb Shimon agrees to the mishapar. I mean, the kidney is not a kidney, and the only thing you have is mishapar. So that's what it says. Really, there's no machlekes here about Reb Shimon, and that's why you have to say mishapar. It's only betargo the shliach it says the Gemara, the way it works is, meaning, says the Gemara asks, one second, here what we're talking about, the shver sent his son-in-law to buy the jewelry. He made him a shliach. So if he's the shliach, he ruined it. He should have made the deal that he's getting a better rate. And we have a klal, when the shliach ruins it, we say, I did not send you to do a bad deal. So the shver should say, we're not doing a deal over here because you're my shliach and you did it wrong. And in other words, you're responsible for it. Says the Gemara, we're not talking about here that he's a shliach, but the shver made a business with his son-in-law. He says, you're going to be my broker. You take the money and go buy jewelry, and the son-in-law makes money on this transaction. So he's considered to be the owner. He's not considered to be a shliach. So therefore the transaction is a transaction based on the das of the son-in-law. And therefore, that's where this question comes. If it's a Kenyan, so he can't change his mind. If it's not a Kenyan, you have mishapora, and that's what we're talking about in this case. You have mishapora, even though if the rate changed, you have your problem. Mishapora depends on the condition. If you made a condition, if the rate changes, I get the better rate, so then he can change his mind. But if he does, and the moicher is the one who's the mishapara. But if he did not make the condition, so he wants to change his mind, he's going to get the curse of mishapara, but there's really no kidding over here. According to the more conclusion, so the Mishnah. A person could give his ariso, his sharecroppers, meaning giving him wheat, and they have to give him back wheat, in order for them to plant the field, but not to eat. We'll see in a moment why. Gamaliel, why are we telling you this? Because Gamaliel did differently. Give them wheat to give them back wheat to plant. If it was more expensive, it became cheaper, or vice versa, it was cheaper and became more expensive. He always took the cheaper rate. Because that's the halacha. We know he was always machmir on himself more than others. So he did this chumrah not to take the cheaper rate. But Mikar didn't, says the more it says the Mishnah, you don't have to do that. You can make up with a aris that you will do based on the more expensive rate. Meaning you give wheat for wheat. And even if wheat now became more expensive, the aris has to pay back the new rate. You can lend them wheat to plant it. That's only if the aris did not go down to the field and not start working the field. But if you already start working the field, also, that's also. Says the Gemara, The Amish doesn't say that chiluk. That only the Aris went down and started working. So if once the Aris went down, you can't give it to him. And only the Brisa says it. And we're going to see in a moment what's the difference between yard and lo yard. Just one moment. So this says the Gemara. Omar Rova of Idi Asber and Ili. Rabbi explained to me. In the place of our Mishnah, Arisa Yoiv Bizyo, right? If the Aris is the one who's responsible to get the seeds. In order to plant the feed, who's the one who gets the seeds? The one who gets it is the Aris. He's responsible. So therefore what? Ben Yard Ben Lord doesn't matter if he already went to the field or not. Kama the Loyard Bizo, as long as he didn't get the seeds, Matzi Masikle, the owner could say, get out of here. You didn't start your process. You have to get the seeds. So once he gets the seeds from the owner, you can do with him the condition. So the owner gives him the seeds. Meaning the Aris doesn't start the work until he gets the seeds. Until he doesn't get the wheat to plant. So when the owner gives it to him, he gives to him, here is the condition of your sharecropping deal. You're going to go down to the field and you're going to give me back the wheat, the more expensive one. Right? So therefore, it's considered to be that even though the Aris is already in the field, he didn't start the process yet. That's what Rashi says. As Rashi said, we read the Lashon of Rashi in the middle of Diwat Bizro. It's about 6 lines at the bottom, or 5 lines at the bottom. So as if it's starting right now. In order for the owner to take the zerat first, from the part that belongs to Aris, so the owner is taking from what belongs to Aris, and the Aris take the rest. He take less than other Aris. No, this is the deal of the sharecropping, and therefore you can change it. But in the Brisa, the one who is responsible to give the seeds is the owner of the land. And if so, if he didn't go down, the Aris did not start his process, so the owner of land can kick him out. So when he goes down, that's the deal. But if once he already went into the field, so the owner can't kick him out because right now the owner has to provide him with the seeds. Also, that's what it's also. So in other words, what is the word saying? The reason why you can make a deal with a sharecropper is because I'm giving the sharecropper it's the deal of the sharecropper. I'm giving you the deal in condition that you give me whatever the value of the wheat will be. So that's fine. But if the sharecropper already went in, he's already doing the work. Now he needs seed. Now the owner gives the seed. He tells him, I'm going to give you a seed. I'll give you the seeds, but give it back to me in a certain way. That's a regular loan. A regular loan, now I'll do sale by sale. Can't give you wheat to give me wheat because maybe the wheat is more expensive. You give me back ribis. So what Torah about an oimer does his friend when I find him without alveini kur chitim. Borrow me and lend me a kur of chitim, a certain measurement of chitim. The koitzet sloi domim. And he says, okay, the worth of chitim is $50. You owe me $50. Uzlu, it became cheaper, noisam chitim. So you'll give me back the chitim. If now the chitim are worth only $40. Huku, noisam the man, if it got more expensive, he gives it $50. So if it's $60, the worth of the chitim, he gives $50. So what do you mean, Valei Kotzatz? We made up, you just said that he made up the money. No, she's Akikoma. Im loy Kotzatz, hozlu et the chitim, huku noisam the man. So that's what it says. If there's a ktitzo, so he turned it into money. Reuben gives Shimon wheat, says, here's the wheat. What is this wheat? The wheat is $50. You owe me $50. So he already owes $50 regardless of what happens to the wheat. But if he did not give him $50, he gave him the wheat, he did not make up anything. So then, if it became cheaper, you could say, you give me wheat, here's wheat. And if it became more expensive, he says, well, what you gave me was $50, I give you back $50. Right? So, and maybe even more to that, he can't really give him more because of the problem is. So it's a toivel. Person is lending his friend wheat, make sure to make up, to establish the money, and then you give back that money. Okay, with this we end this daf.